You're not going to like it, but I predict Marjorie Taylor Greene could be our first woman president. At least I think she's setting herself up for a run in 2028. Last night, she announced her resignation from Congress starting in January, and she dropped this 10-minute video. Yeah, she announced her resignation in it, but she spent the majority of the video defining herself as a brand, as America First, as a pro-life Christian, highlighting herself as somebody who's talking about affordability, and someone who has run against the establishment, both Democrat and Republican. Even thinking about the background here, it's not even Thanksgiving yet, and yeah, maybe she's one of those people who puts up a Christmas tree early, but I think this is more about setting up that she is a good Christian woman with America First values. And yeah, she talks a great deal about running against Democrats, but now she's also talking about running against MAGA and how the leadership is failing. She talks about legislation she's put forward that's very popular with the America First crowd. And she adds that Republicans are going to lose the midterms in 2026. She's one of the Republicans that led the charge on the Epstein file. I think she thinks there's going to be an impeachment vote, and I think she doesn't want to be part of it one way or the other. We're starting to see cracks in the Republicans. They're starting to see Trump as a lame duck president, and he's not going to be able to carry the party forever. We saw this when he wasn't on the ballot during the November special elections. So I think she's getting out now to come back soon.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning from Congress effective in January, and people are saying, well, she stayed just long enough to ensure that she gets all of the benefits for life. But that's not quite true. So what does Marjorie Taylor Greene actually get? She'll get 5 years worth of a pension, 1.7% for congressional representatives times her highest salary, which is around $174,000 a year. And she gets the average high 3, but it's been the same the whole 5 years she'll have been in Congress. So Marjorie Taylor Greene will get around $1,200 a month once she turns 62. She won't get health benefits. She won't get anything else. She'll get access to whatever she put into her 401k, but none of that really matters because the truth of it is Marjorie Taylor Greene over the last 5 years has highly benefited from insider trading. She went from being worth a couple $100,000 net worth when she entered Congress to being worth millions now. So the real benefit and the real retirement plan for congressional representatives is just get rich enough for a few years and then leave.
No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher. Corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest. And the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. They know how much credit card debt they have. They know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the chief architects of the massive income inequality, fueling the very crises that she is pretending to care about right now. She just voted for Trump's big, beautiful bill, which kicks more than 15 million people off of their health insurance, makes the largest cuts to food assistance, which is SNAP in U.S. history, and makes higher education even less affordable. And for what? To fund tax cuts that overwhelmingly benefit the ultra rich, the top 1%. Her vote adds an estimated $4.1 trillion to our national debt. In other words, she voted to strip healthcare, strip food and education from poor and working class Americans and plunge our country into historic debt, just so that billionaires can have tax cuts that they do not need. Remember that.
Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States.
Marjorie Taylor Greene does not care at all about Epstein's victims, especially the children. She is a dangerous female who has been complicit for many years in the abuse of girls and women. All she is doing is trying to rebrand after she helped lay the groundwork for rape culture. Marjorie Taylor Greene is responsible for helping predator men become powerful, and then she helped those predator men abuse that power to escape consequences. When Trump openly bragged about assaulting women and said,
"And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything."
She still supported him. When Eugene Carroll won her sexual abuse case against Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene still supported Trump. When Trump sexualized his own daughter, she still supported him. She knew Trump settled multiple sexual assault claims. She still supported him. Trump admitted going into the dressing rooms of teenage girls to watch them undress. Marjorie Taylor Greene still supported him.
Yes, he's fantastic. This guy right here is great. Standing up in there in the mucky swamp. Diane always has him in the mucky swamp. Yeah.
She was besties with Matt Gaetz during the time he was being actively investigated for paying for sex with a 17-year-old child. She still supported him during that time as well.
My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide-open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women.
I, for one, thoroughly appreciate Marjorie Taylor Greene giving us all of the reasons and reminding us why we won't miss her and why she is a massive piece of shit.
I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president...
In the end, the leopards predictably ate her face. She was the token who set herself up to be spent, and when she should have fought the oppressive system that she helped build for all of us, including herself, instead she ran like a coward.
Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future.
Like I've been saying, MAGA females are the weakest demographic in existence, even the ones like Marjorie Taylor Greene who are handed unearned power in heavily gerrymandered districts like Georgia's 14th collapse the moment they are expected to show real courage. This is what happens when you choose to be a pick-me and a sycophant for men and help them build a system designed to diminish you, exploit you, and destroy you as a human being and as a woman.
So one of the other developments we've seen just over the weekend is that Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican from Georgia, just a staunch supporter for so long of the president, has said she is going to step away because she's paid such a public price for some of her positions. Do you think there is room in your party for disagreeing with President Trump?
I think it's important that we have independent voices. So I'm sad to see her voice go away or potentially go away. I think that she brought up something in the last week or so that was very important. What is the Republican plan for health care? So I've engaged the president on this, and I'm putting forward my own plan. But in my plan, what it allows for is people to buy their insurance through a collective, basically to buy their insurance through Costco or Sam's Club or Amazon. And mine is the only plan out there that would actually drive prices down. But that's what an independent voice will help in our country, independent voice within the Republican caucus, not to see things always inside the box, but to think of some out-of-the-box solutions. So I think independent voices are important in the Republican Party.
Marjorie Taylor Greene says, I'm out of here in January.
Marjorie Taylor Greene just announcing she is resigning from Congress effective January 5th.
Aww.
That news coming after her recent fallout with President Trump. The once loyal supporter of the president has become a critic recently.
Her little feelings were hurt, weren't they?
And has shown her displeasure of Trump in recent weeks.
She's been on more liberal media platforms than I can even count.
Republican Congresswoman from Georgia has criticized Trump's foreign policy focus and his reluctance to release more documents related to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
So you got what you want, boo-boo kitty? What's wrong?
Trump responding by supporting a primary challenger against her and calling her wacky Marjorie.
That's what's wrong. I tell you, there's so many feelings up here in Washington, and these politics and all this stuff is just, oh my God. Who needs soap operas and television when you have TikTok and Trump?
You all are asking me to dive into this Marjorie Taylor Greene retirement video. Let's take a look at it. I think there's some things that are pretty interesting. I'm body language expert and behavior analyst Tracy Brown. I have a few clips here. They're going to be a little bit out of order, but they're grouped together in like content categories. So first up, take a look at this one and stay tuned for my analysis.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in.
Okay, so this is in the first few minutes of her talk, actually few seconds. Overall, here's what I noticed is that she's using a teleprompter, and it's probably not run by anyone, so it's one of those like automatic ones on your iPad, and that has her, and she's not that comfortable with it, and that has her going the same speed the whole time, all the way through. And that's also why we don't see really a whole lot of blinking from her. Those things, like just from personal experience, they're very difficult to use, and they can put you in a fair bit of stress because you don't know if you're going to be talking and the thing's not going to be, the next sentence isn't coming up. So I think that's why we see a lower blink rate from her. And I also think that's why we get more of the robotic tone from her. I bet you this is the first take, and there's nobody else there with her. At least nobody professional, like because the lighting isn't really great. Now her overall tone here is pity, and that is one of the major feelings that people can want to evoke when they're speaking to you. So take a look at a couple of these clips and it'll become really clear.
I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us.
Next up, I got a couple clips that show uncertainty with what she says. And this is a habit of hers. See if you can pick it up.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single.
Yeah, so did you see that thing she does with her lip there? She does that several times, and I've seen her do it several times prior to this. That is her tell that leaks out, right, of uncertainty. So these comments that she's making, she doesn't have full confidence in. She's most congruent when she talks about loyalty. I actually think this is a really big deal for her. You can see her pacing changes just a little bit. Take a look at this.
Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative.
And then at the very end, she really reveals the whole reason for all of this, and it's contempt. It's very slight, but look at how her mouth goes back like that, just a little bit. That is contempt. That is moral superiority or dismissing people. Take a look.
Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have.
Now, I don't often give you personal opinions in these, but I can't resist. I think the best thing she says is right here.
I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility.
Now, this whole thing rings as funny to me because there's no better way to fight for your rights and for your beliefs than to quit. This may prove, well, I know she's under a lot of stress. She can dish it out, but she can't take it. When you want more intel like this, go up here to my profile, the first link under the red arrow. That's my newsletter. I'll send you info like this and a lot more in your inbox once a month. TB out.